Well, well, isn't this just like old times?
Welcome back, this is Archonagon. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about GTA 5 and the supposed banning of the product in Australia from Target Australia and now Kmart Australia. In case you haven't heard, over the past, I think it's been about a week, recently, Target Australia and Kmart, and now Kmart Australia have decided to pull GTA 5 off the shelves in Australia. Now, there's a few things to keep in mind here. First off, this was a response to a petition on change.org that was made by, as I understand it, sex workers who were complaining that the game basically rewards players and encourages players to commit sexual violence against women and abuse or kill them to, and I quote, proceed or get health points. Now, that is factually inaccurate. You regain no health for the murder of prostitutes in any GTA 5 game. Furthermore, you can kill anybody and get money from them, prostitute or otherwise. But that aside, there are several other aspects to keep in mind here. For starters, Australia's government has forever, up to now, looked at video games as a toy. That's how they view it as a government society. Australia's government has actually spent a great deal of time, effort, and money banning games from reaching their shores outright long before this. And even then, this is not a banning. But the fact that they view this, the fact that the Australian government views their video games as toys is a large reason why it's treated the way it is in Australia. Now, that aside, what we have is a bit of disingenuous marketing. For example, Target Australia, for whatever reason, and I'll try to find the image of this if I can, decided to put an ad out for their Christmas shopping where it had two toys on the front page, and next to those two toys that were designed for little kids, they have an ad for Grand Theft Auto 5. That is a stark contrast and terrible advertising. But even if we put that aside, there's the fact that they've already made their money off of GTA 5, just like everybody else has. The game's been out for a while. Now, you could argue that the Christmas season would bring in more sales, and you'd be right to argue that. It will bring in more sales. But the difference is that companies like Target Australia and Kmart Australia are not turning around and taking the money they've earned from those sales and donating it to a cause. They're not asking for people to bring in their copies for refunds. They're keeping the money, and by all legal rights, it's theirs to keep. However, that's what makes this disingenuous. That's what makes this very marketed heavy. By pulling the product after they've already made money off of it, their initial money at least, they look good in the eyes of the consumer, who will then go to their stores and shop because they are perceived to be more family friendly. And whether or not they are doesn't change the fact that they, like I said, they've already made their money, and they're sitting on that money. That's their money. So that's a bit of a disingenuous message that they're giving to the people who they claim to be supporting. Now, the signatures for the change.org petition reached over 30,000, and that's when they decided to pull the product from their shelves. Now, I want to point out that this is not the same thing as banning something in a country. First off, that's governmental, not commercial, which is what's going on here. Secondly, they're not banning the sale of the game. They're just pulling it from their shelves, which every retailer has the right to do. Just as an individual has the right to decide whether or not they want to purchase a game, retailers, even on an individual scale, have the right to not carry a game or any other product should they decide not to for any reasons that they decide. It's their shelves. It's their real estate. They have every legal right to do that. So it's not very wise to confuse this with banning, because in order for this to be banned, the government would have had to have stepped in and said, we're not allowing this game to be sold on our shores, which is not what's happening in this case, ironically. Given the history of GTA in what is the past now 20 years, give or take a few, it's surprising that they didn't ban this version. But they're getting a much broader consumer base for video games in Australia over time, so at the same time they're making more money off of it, off of tax sales. On top of making money off of their tax sales, games in Australia are charged for more on average by compared to, say, the United States. So that means Australia makes more money on their taxes from the sale of video games. And as such, they're slowly reevaluating what it is that they view video games as opposed to toys. But for the time being, they still view them as toys. The problem with this situation is that GTA 5 has already been released. People have already bought it. It's already made headlines, it's already made awards, it's already broken sales numbers. So if their message is to prevent this game from being sold, the damage is already done. Now, maybe it took them this long to get those signatures. I don't know. There's nothing outright stating how long it took them to receive those signatures and to show them off and to get the decision to be made to have these games pulled off of Target Australia and KMart Australia's shelves. But time is a factor in that respect. GTA, by and large, explores mature themes and content similar to those found in many other any form of entertainment properties. Toys, for example, in which the Breaking Bad toy line was pulled off of the shelves in Toys R Us, despite the fact that you can go to Toys R Us and buy horror-based figures and caricatures and content and DVDs and so on and so forth that are not made for kids, that they're not pulling because they're not getting as much advertising, they're not getting as much exposure. Furthermore, GTA is infamous for its content. It has been ever since at least 95, 96, maybe 97, whenever the first GTA was released. But at the time, not a lot of people knew about it. It wasn't until GTA 3 that it got the exposure that it has, and it's grown exponentially since then from system to system. We've had different generations of kids growing up to be gamers, so you're expanding your audience just through time alone. Plus, anytime you take something and say to a kid, you can't do this because of adult reasons, not only does the kid want to do that even more, but they also wanted to do it anyway because they're more older, be it siblings, friends, or even adults, are doing it and they're enjoying it and they want to be a part of that. So basically what you're doing is you're saying, this is bad, we're going to take this off the shelves after we've made our money, and then we're going to not do anything with the money, and then we're going to market it so that we look better for the Christmas season, so that we can make more money during the Christmas season than we would have otherwise by having this publicity. And again, this is marketing, this is publicity, this is business. The video games industry is business related, the retail industry is business related, this is all business. So, while they may come across as being the heroes of small families or for defending women for the content that's in there, don't be misled. They've already made their money off of it. They're not doing anything with it, and they're keeping it. So they're really just as guilty as they would have been had they not pulled it off the shelves in the first place. Just a few things to keep in mind. This is Archonagon signing off. Take care.
I don't really know about you, but personally I am feeling super. Not a lot of people on the train, and I don't miss the pushing or complaining. Look, it's raining, I don't mind it. I don't pay attention to the climate. Wear a watch whenever I did. It doesn't matter what the time is. It's wonderful, terrific, great. Let me explain in a specific way. One day, rolled out of bed, everyone was gone. Didn't really get it, what was going on? It was nothing big, it was something small. Itty bitty bug came and killed them all. Somebody like me lived through natural immunity. Woohoo! I never really had any friends or close family. You might see a tragedy. Me, I'm living in a fantasy. Nobody in my business. So happy that I live to witness this. Just missed one tiny little perk. Home delivery, it no longer works.